The beginning of the year is the ideal time to set up a new bullet journal. But if you're like me and you miss that January window, this might be your sign to start now. Hi, I'm Maddie. I've tried different ways to stay on top of things, optimize my time, and get things done. And the one system I keep coming back to is Ryder Carroll's bullet journal method. But I haven't been able to stay consistent with it for quite some time now. And a lot of things have turned into a discombobulated mess. That's why I'm setting up a new bullet journal that I'm determined to stick with this time. And I'm going to share that process with you. Before anything else, the very first thing that I want to add is a quote that says, "You are better off starting imperfectly than being paralyzed by the hope or the delusion of perfection." I heard Ryan Holiday say this in an interview a few years ago, and it really stuck with me. And I thought it's a very fitting quote to start my journal, especially because I tend to get paralyzed by perfectionism sometimes. So, this will serve as a constant reminder for me to embrace the imperfection and move forward. On the opposite page, I just write my name before moving on to the next page, which will be my index. I probably won't refer much to the index while I'm using this journal, but I might need it in the future when I look back and try to find something quickly. So I'm just doing my future self a favor by having it here now. This next page is a year at a glance, which is essentially a calendar. In this case, it's half a year at a glance since we're in July already, and I don't need the first 6 months to be here anymore. You might notice that my calendar is slightly different from the Gregorian calendar because I have my own planning system that I'm using alongside the bullet journal method. I won't go into all the details of my planning system in this video because that's a story for another day. But one of its features is having my months always begin on a Monday and end on a Sunday, as you'll see in a moment. So I started by writing the days of the week and the week number. I'm following ISO 8601 week numbering system. ISO, for those who might not know, stands for International Organization for Standardization. I first learned about it 20 plus years ago when I worked for a company that was ISO certified. In ISO, the week starts on a Monday, and week one of the year is the week that contains the first Thursday of January. So I adopted its first Thursday rule to determine the first week of each month. That means some of my months includes dates from the previous or next Gregorian month. For example, my July calendar begins with a couple of June dates and ends with a couple of August dates. I hope that makes sense. It certainly does to my brain, and that's really what matters. Anyway, because there are times when the dates from adjacent months overlap, I thought it might be better to give my months a different name. For that, I drew inspiration from the moon and called my months phases. I also changed the name of quarters into something that felt a little less corporate, so I called them seasons. This is just me making my journal uniquely mine and having fun in the process. And this next page is one of those personal touches. Please excuse the change in lighting. The sun had set and I had to use artificial light to finish the rest of the spreads. So, this is kind of the intention page on the traditional bullet journal, what I call mine Core Compass. This will hold the purpose of this journal for me. It's a place to go back to whenever I need to remind myself why I have this journal in the first place. I have a really tiny handwriting, so it might be a challenge to read what I'm writing, even if you pause the video. But it says, "This journal is a place for me to think, track, reflect, and keep moving forward. This exists not for control or perfection, but for clarity, intention, and consistency. I use it to number one, notice patterns in my habits, energy, mood, and attention. Number two, build routines that support me. And number three, follow through on what matters to me. Then I added a gentle reminder that says this journal doesn't need to be perfect to be useful, it just needs to be used. And because the bottom of the page felt a little empty, I just added a sticker there. And the image is from Canva in case anyone's wondering where I got it. Moving on, the next page is for my grid spacing guide NP. I already have a grid spacing guide that also serves as a bookmark, but I thought it would be helpful to have the guide here as well in case I lose that bookmark. So I just wrote the number of boxes horizontally and vertically, and also how many boxes are there when the page is divided into halves, thirds, or quarters. As for the key, I use a bunch of symbols or bullets, and some of them don't follow the traditional bullets and signifiers of the method. But my symbol works for me, and you're free to change yours as well to whatever makes more sense to you. The next few pages are my future log. This is one section of my journal where I'm using the Gregorian calendar. I'm starting with August since I'll have a space for July when I set up the July spreads. So August on the left side and September on the right. Then below that, I put numbers 1 through 31 down the center. This will be shared by both months. So events, birthdays, and appointments for August will be on the left, and those for September will be on the right. I also highlighted the weekends to make them easier to spot at a glance. And then I set up the rest of the months of camera so you don't have to watch me repeat the same thing over and over again. Instead, let's move on to the next spread, which is for my goals and intentions. Instead of writing them down, I want something more visual. So I searched for inspiration online and I found a video by Jashi Curran from 2019 where she doodled all the goals in one spread. Now, drawing and doodling is not part of my skill set, but thankfully, using Canva is. So I created something similar in Canva and printed it on sticker paper. And for an even more visual representation of my goals and intentions, I created a vision board. All of the images I also got from Canva, and I put together the layout there as well. I already arranged the images the way I want them to look on the page. So instead of cutting and sticking them one by one, I just do it this way. It's much easier and also saves me time. Most of these goals and intentions are things that have been getting set aside over and over throughout the years for a lot of reasons. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to me not setting and protecting my boundaries so that I can make time for my own priorities too. Because of that, I'm making boundary my word of the year or half year, I guess. You'll see that there are four more words around it, and those words represent what I will be missing out if I don't live by my word of the year. So below that, I wrote when I set, honor, and protect my boundaries, I make space to breathe and cultivate my knowledge and skills. This allows me to create and contribute something meaningful into the world in my own little way. Like this video, for example, that I hope can help at least one person out there. Now, the opposite page I'll dedicate for ideas, goals, dreams, or projects that I don't have the capacity to do just yet. This is the Someday Maybe list from Getting Things Done by David Allen, but I don't like the sound of Someday Maybe because those are two uncertain words together. I want something that feels more hopeful and optimistic. And in the book, David Allen said that the someday maybe list is the quote unquote parking lot for projects that would be impossible to move on at present. And I like the sound of parking lot better than someday maybe. It's like my brain is a busy city and not everything can be on the main road. Some things just needs to be parked in the parking lot. Anyway, now that I have space for future plans, it's time to make room for the things I'm focusing on right now. One of them is to finish three online courses. So I need a space to list down all the things that I want to learn and all the courses that I already have. Then I can choose which ones I want to finish this year. The same thing goes for the next page, which will have the list of all the books that I own right now, where I'll choose four nonfiction ones to finish reading this year. And then I also intend to lose 10 kilograms this year. So a page to track my physical metrics would be helpful for seeing whether I'm making progress with this particular intention. I have body measurements at the top, and at the end of every month, I'll take the measurements and write them down here. The bottom, I have a space to track my weight each month. And ideally, this will have a line graph that's going down by the end of the year. And then the next page has nothing to do with any of my goals, at least not directly. This one is a period tracker, which I'm calling Cycle Chronicle. So the way this works is I have a column for blood flow, date, and then the symptoms or discomforts that I feel during my period. Blood flow is represented by a red dot. The bigger the dot, the heavier the flow. And each of the symptoms has a dedicated column represented by a letter. C for cramps, H for headache, I for irritability, L for low back pain, and D for dizziness. And in case you didn't notice, the letters representing the symbols form the word child. So every month I could be like, how's my child today? Anyway, to monitor the intensity of the symptoms, I'll use colored dots. Green dot for mild, yellow for moderate, and red for severe. I'll put the first 6 months here off camera because you don't have to watch me do that. But when filled in, it will look like this. And that's it for my yearly spread. That's my 2026 bullet journal setup that I started halfway through 2026. And before I wrap up this video, I just want to say that if you've been meaning to start your own journal, maybe this is your sign to begin. Whether it's January, April, July, or somewhere in between, an imperfect beginning is better than waiting for the perfect time that may never come. With that, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload a new one. Next up will be my July monthly setup, and I hope to see you there too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.